Hello, I'm Simon Fisherbecker. You probably know me better as Dorian Moldavar from Doctor Who, or the Fat Friar from Harry Potter. And this is Everything Geek Podcast.
Face it, Tiger. You just hit the jackpot with the Everything Geek Podcast.
Hello everyone, you're listening to the Everything Geek Podcast. I'm your host Rory, and this week for the first time the only host on this episode. Of course with editor Dan in the background, and also joining me is very special guest Beau Billingslea.
Hello everybody out there.
Beau is well known for playing Captain Abbott in this year's Star Trek Into Darkness movie, so how are you, Beau?
I'm doing great, Rory. How about yourself?
I'm doing fine, thank you very much. So getting right into the questions, Beau, my first question for you is, how did you first decide you wanted to be an actor?
It's interesting. When I was in grammar school, I think about in 5th or 6th grade, I sang Silent Night in the Christmas play, and I did the ham bone at the talent show, and then my show business career went silent until I was in college. And one of my fraternity brothers was directing Eugene O'Neill's Emperor Jones. I don't know if you're familiar with the play, but he's the emperor of a Caribbean island, and he goes mad and he's chased by spirits, and it was a lot of fun. But anyway, he convinced me to do the role, because at the time I was captain of the football team, and he was thinking it was a good role for me, and Paul Robeson had done it, James Earl Jones had done it, so he was thinking it would be a nice way to bring the campus together, because the people in the actors in the theater arts and in fine arts didn't really mix with the football players. That was years ago, so they would call us names, we called them names, and so he thought it would be a good way to bring the campus together, and as it turned out, it was. I endured a lot of ridicule from my teammates on the football team, but be that as it may, I did it, and it was a lot of fun. They came to see it, and it was kind of a healing process for the campus. And so I was kind of bitten by the bug at that time. And then again, my show business career went dormant, and I went to law school, and my last year of law school, now I'm 7 years in college at this point, I started going down to New York, because I went to law school in Connecticut. Started going down to New York, and started auditioning, and a friend of the family's had worked with Mike Todd, who was a director who was married to Elizabeth Taylor way back. So he got me down there, he got me started, and I got pictures, joined the union, got a resume, got an answering service, all the things that you have to do. But like so many people, he was my guiding light. He helped me to get started, and his name was Tony Cirillo, and I will always be in his debt.
Yeah, it's really cool. Very interesting story for sure. My second question is, how did you first get involved with Star Trek Into Darkness?
That's an interesting question. I auditioned, and but at the time I didn't know what I was auditioning for. There's a lot of secrecy going on in Hollywood now for good reason. People are stealing storylines and all of that. So I auditioned, and it was not at J.J. Abrams' production company, so I had no clue. It was someplace else, and they put me on tape. And as I say, I had no script. They gave me sides to audition from, but it had no connection with Star Trek. So I didn't know what I was auditioning for. And so I thought it might have been something that was going straight to DVD, some little project. And so anyway, about a week or so later, my manager called and said, Beau, that little movie you auditioned for, you booked it. I said, yeah, well, what is it? What is this thing? I was getting annoyed with all the secrecy in Hollywood. You're auditioning, you don't even know what you're auditioning for,
Yeah.
So she says, well, it's this little movie. You ready? I said, Maggie, what is it? She said, there's this little movie called Star Trek. And I said, oh, okay. And she said, you want to do it? I said, yeah, I think so.
Yeah, the only real answer you can give to a question like that.
That's for sure. Yeah, that's for sure. And that was I was very happy to hear that.
Yeah, it's very interesting. Did you get to talk to any of the Star Trek cast off set?
Yeah, most of my work was with Chris Pine and Zachary Quinto and Peter Weller and Bruce Greenwood. And so, we had a lot of nice interaction with them. Peter Weller is working on his PhD in Italian Renaissance art or something like that, and he was also learning the trumpet. I found out in a very interesting way. We were in the makeup trailer, and I heard somebody doing scales on the trumpet. And as it turned out, it was Peter Weller in his dressing room. So so when Peter came to makeup, Bruce told me, he said, Peter, we love hearing your scales on your trumpet, but we kind of think that scales are for at home and songs are for the public. So he says, we're trying to go over our lines and we're hearing.
Yeah, that I can only imagine that would be off-putting.
It was funny, but Peter took the suggestion, so we didn't hear him doing any more scales on his trumpet.
I bet you were glad of that. No unnecessary distractions.
Right? Yeah. It was good.
That reminds me actually of a story from the Star Wars Empire Strikes Back set, not Star Trek Star Wars. Like apparently one secondary or even tertiary actor was, well, he thought basically they told them to cut the scene. Like there was a whole room full of cast. They thought, oh, they've said cut, I'll just walk around the set whistling. So he basically does that, and they're actually recording the scene, not having just cut it. So he goes across the whole, set whistling, and they're all like, what the heck is he doing?
That's a funny story. Thanks for sharing that.
You're welcome. Yeah, but it just reminds me because, whistles, instruments,
Yeah, right. Yeah, vagrant noises around when you're trying to concentrate.
Exactly. Yeah. So, my fourth question is, would you say you're better known for your Star Trek role or any of your other roles, whether TV or a movie?
Well, I guess I'm probably best known around the world for voicing Jet Black in Cowboy Bebop. I think that's most of the interaction that I get, of course, along with Captain Abbott being the captain of the SS Bradbury, which I don't know if you're aware, that's probably an homage to the science fiction writer Ray Bradbury. So it wasn't an accident. My starship was named Bradbury. But I think that, yeah, Cowboy Bebop is probably along with Star Trek, Captain Abbott are the two roles that I'm most well known for. I voice a couple of characters, the Fourth Reich Kage and Homura, in Naruto Shippuden, and I think Cowboy Bebop and Star Trek are the most I'm most known for.
Yeah, it's very interesting. My last question is, do you have any upcoming roles or other projects you would like to talk about?
Yes, I have a show online now called Suit Up 2, It's with Barry Corbin and Mark Evan Jackson. It's a web series. I play a basketball coach in a college basketball program, and it's a comedy, and it's funny. It's a lot of fun, and all you have to do is go online and in Google Suit Up 2, and I voiced Abraham Douglas in War of the Worlds Goliath, which is from Tripod Entertainment, with a lot of the people from Highlander. The director is Joe Pearson, and the stars are Adrian Paul, Jim Burns, and Elizabeth Grayson, Peter Wingfield, and Tony Insoff, and myself. So that hopefully that'll be coming out. It's a steampunk animated feature film, which actually we won Best 3D Animated Feature Film here at the Los Angeles 3D Film Festival. I also play a judge on a show called Franklin and Bash, a sitcom, American sitcom taking place in the courtroom, and I also have a recurring role on General Hospital as, once again, as a judge, as Judge Cole. I do my fair share of judges.
Yeah, I was just about to say that. Yeah, that must be very interesting.
Yeah, I enjoy playing judges. Having been an attorney, actually, I did some judging when I was in the military. So it's a natural fit for me.
Yeah, definitely sounds to be anyway. So that's very cool about some of your upcoming projects. I'll be sure to check them out, including Suit Up 2, for sure. We also have a question for you from one of our Facebook followers, Johnny Beggs, who asks, were you a fan of the original Star Trek TV show?
Oh, yes. I've been a fan of Star Trek since the original TV series with William Shatner. And because it was like, it was a forerunner of all of these sci-fi shows now. And it's been interesting because I actually had a chance to work with William Shatner on a TV series that he had called T.J. Hooker, where he played a cop. And I did 2 episodes there, and I had nice interactions with him, and that kind of rekindled my interest in Star Trek, working with Captain Kirk, even though he wasn't Captain Kirk in that show, obviously.
Yeah.
And then I was friends with Michael Dorn, who became Worf. So once he became Worf, that also rekindled my interest in Star Trek. So I've been a Star Trek fan for years. And so now I've joined the family, and I'm very pleased to be part of the Star Trek family, which is a part of Americana.
Yeah, it's very interesting. Thank you very much, Beau, for joining us today and answering our questions. It's been a pleasure having you on the podcast.
It was my pleasure, Rory, and any time you want to chat, just let me know.
Yeah, I'll be sure to. So thank you very much for joining us, and we'll talk to you some other time, hopefully.
Talk to you soon.
Yeah, bye.
Bye-bye.
So that's the end of that interview. So moving swiftly on, as you all know, or those of you who follow me on Facebook or even just on the Facebook page, and I've just got to point out to you right now, I'm being recorded on my own. I have to make it seem like I'm actually not talking to myself. That'll be interesting to try and do. Yeah, so for those of you who follow the Facebook page, you'll know during the week I went to see the recently released Percy Jackson Sea of Monsters movie, the second installment for the Percy Jackson series. The first, The Lightning Thief, was released back in 2010, so it's taken them a bit to release the sequel. In fact, to be honest, even though I personally enjoyed The Lightning Thief, I know it did really badly at the box office, so I think for a while they could have been unsure even if they were doing the second, but it's out now, and that's really what counts. So anyway, getting my opinions on it, for the most part, I really enjoyed it. I thought the storyline was great. It definitely, and I'm not one of those who complain that movies don't stick to the book series or whatever. It definitely stuck a lot more to the book than the first film, which did deteriorate a lot from the first book. But the second one, for the most part, did stay true to the book. And even when it didn't necessarily, for the most part. It, used the elements. It didn't necessarily use exactly as it was stated in the book, but it used the elements of it, the important parts. And I was really happy with it. It was definitely an improvement over the first film, even though I enjoyed that one as well. I'd probably give the first one a 9 and this one a 9.5. I don't think either of them were perfect. Well, maybe 8.5 or a 9 respectively. I think 9.5 for Sea of Monsters is a bit nice. One thing I was surprised with is the fact they didn't bring back some of the prominent characters in The Lightning Thief. We didn't not once see Percy's mum, Sally Jackson, not at all in the whole film, but it kind of makes sense at the same time because in the books, between the books, Percy would go home all the time, and as the film was saying, he was staying at camp, which does actually kind of explain the ending of the first movie a bit, when they were essentially saying goodbye, maybe temporarily. But I also Poseidon, one of the gods. In fact, we didn't really see a lot of the gods in the film. I think only Hermes and Dionysius. And that was one of the actual good things about this movie. I thought, in the first one, The Lightning Thief, they did leave out some fairly important characters, but not critical characters to the story, like Percy and Annabeth and Grover. But they did leave out a few fairly important ones, like Clarice and Dionysius, to name a couple of examples, and they brought them back. They brought them into this movie, and they did write them well so that they actually fitted in with the whole storyline. Rather than, oh, you should have been in the first movie, but you weren't, and now we just got to write you in for the sake of it. They actually explained it, which I thought was good. Yeah, I was disappointed with a few characters that didn't appear that I would have liked to start, thought should have appeared again. Poseidon definitely would have been most, though I believe he was mentioned a few times. Well, actually more than a few times, come to think of it. But I think I might as well get off my chest right now. I think the biggest complaint, and like, again, I don't usually complain about changes from the book, but this one I will, not so much for the fact that it was changed from the book, but the fact they resurrected Kronos this early. I mean, seriously? I mean, he's supposed to be resurrected in the fourth book, which would then mean the fourth movie, but whatever. Now that's not so much my complaint, but in the book, he when he resurrects, he like takes on the form of a human, the main villain, essentially Luke. I mean, he kind of enters his body, and basically it's Luke, but with glowing gold eyes. But I don't think in the books, well, I do obviously need to reread them again. I don't think we ever saw Cronus' true form. In this movie, we actually do, and obviously, it's not so much that I have a problem with them going away from the book. It just felt like such a cop-out move from the writers. It's like, oh, we need to have an ending. I mean, what can we do? Oh, let's resurrect Kronos. I mean, it's not creating a new character. It's bringing one the fans will know into the story, but much sooner. And I just felt like it was unnecessary and stupid. Um, Another complaint I have is I mean, I was okay with it in the first movie. It gave me a good chuckle at the time because I thought, oh, it's a once-off, and yeah, you can easily survive that. But in the first movie, they had Percy basically throw with a spear made of water. They made him throw Luke into the ocean, which I was okay with. I mean, I could see him surviving that. But here, I mean, the gag they made with Luke was to make him fall into the area, the at this stage bouldered off area where the big Cyclops Polyphemus lives. And honestly, he's trapped in a cave with a gigantic, huge boulder blocking the exit placed early in the film by our heroes. And they really expect us to believe, if there's another upcoming movie, because Luke will have to survive, I mean, they really expect us to believe he'll survive that. I mean, the first movie, okay, that made sense. Second one, how is he gonna get out of that? I mean, that's gonna make up some stuff that's ridiculous. I mean, the quote they used to explain it, Sea of Monsters, honestly, I felt honestly needed no explanation for his Lightning Thief survival. I mean, he's just like so it looks like you're not the only demigod that's hard to kill. Like, yeah, that makes sense. I mean, the ocean, okay, not that far away from land, but this. I mean, my two biggest complaints are easily Kronos resurrected and um, yeah, that regarding Luke, and those both come from the ending. The storyline itself was good. It did, for the most part, of course, use elements from the book, which I was happy with. And even though the way they temporarily, quote unquote, died, Tyson and Annabeth, their deaths went the exact same, quote unquote, as the books. But I still thought the way they did them was really good. Tyson in the books, he was meant to uh, be exploded in the Cherry Beta scene. I think I said the name completely wrong, but you know what I'm referring to with the creature trying to eat them, basically, and he's supposed to try and save the ship and gets blown up in the process, but of course Cyclopses can't be killed by fire, so he survives, and of course there's water nearby as well, which helped. Um, and Annabeth, I can't remember how. Oh yeah, it was actually Annabeth was critically injured in the original Polyphemus scene when when the big Cyclops throws a boulder at her and it like hits her on the side of the head. Not so much that would like kill her, not centrally in the straight head, more of the skin, but still knocks her out cold completely. And what they did respectively for those two characters in the movie, which I personally really liked, well, at least in Tyson's case, Luke was trying to kill Percy, and Tyson steps in the way, and basically it goes right through his stomach. I think a spear or something. Um, I do need to rewatch the movie too. It goes right through him, and basically one of the quotes that he'd echoed to Percy before once or twice in the movie was "You do it for me," and he gets stabbed like that brutally, and he just looks at Percy and says, you do it for me," and just falls into the ocean. I was almost sobbing at that point, honestly. Not literally. And then he just falls into the ocean, of course, which so keeps him alive. Because he fell into the ocean, and being a son of Poseidon, that gets rid of your injuries, as explained in the first movie with Percy. So I thought that was really good. Annabeth's, um, yeah, the book version was honestly better. Where Polyphemus throws a boulder at her, skims the top of her head, and knocks her cold. I mean, basically in the movie, you have this random creature. I can't even remember the name of it, and honestly, to me, it had no importance whatsoever. You had this massive vermin-like creature with a big spiky tail attack her from behind and stab her through the back of the stomach, and then she dies temporarily before they resurrect her, of course, with the golden fleece. And I was just thinking, yeah, that's just lame. And of course, thankfully, of course, they did keep her alive, of course, in a way that made sense with the golden fleece. So I was okay with that. But having a creature temporarily kill her, not even a point one at that, felt like a cop out. But the storyline, yeah, I'll get into the storyline more now. It was great. I liked how at the start they had the bull attack on the camp, and of course, yeah, they did spoil in the trailers that the bull would get defeated, so we knew what was coming and that Percy would blow it up basically with his sword. Um, yeah, but it was very interesting the attack. I think I think the opening of the movie itself, if you know, a flashback scene with Thalia, um, Annabeth, Luke, and Grover when they were trying to escape the Cyclopses to get to Camp Half-Blood, and this was when the shield around the camp was first created as well, and I thought that addition to the storyline, maybe it was in the books, I can't remember, but it was very interesting as well, and Thalia's, death, though Zeus saves her as a tree, was interesting. Uh, I think before I move on, the last thing I want to discuss is the um, new and recurring, of course, cast members. I'll start with the new ones first. Nathan Fillion as Hermes. I thought he did an excellent job. Um, I thought he really suited the role. I haven't seen it. I've honestly haven't seen a lot of Nathan's movie or TV roles, but he definitely, I could tell right away, even from the preview, because before the movie was released, that he would make a great Hermes, and he did. I thought he was perfect for the role. Yeah, as well as Nathan as Hermes. I can't honestly remember the actress's name, but I remember in the end scene, yeah, with Thalia being resurrected. I remember just seeing when Percy was going up to and see the damage or wherever it happened, which was Thalia not being the tree anymore, obviously. I thought the moment the Thalia actress said, "I am Thalia, daughter of Zeus," I just thought from the moment she said that, yep, that is Thalia. That is Thalia. Yeah, she just from one line, I thought she suited the role completely perfectly. I mean, wow. I mean, one line that really tells you a lot. Yeah, those were two really good ones. Of course, Tyson's actor was really good as well. Again, I can't remember his name. Really need to do more research on to get any of them on this podcast. But yeah, Tyson's actor was good. I thought Tyson was. Yeah, I know there were some complaints they should have been a bit more of a babyish face in than he was in the books. That he was less babyish in the movie, but I thought it was okay. I thought the actor still looked the part and acted really well, and that Tyson had a good mix between comedy and more emotional scenes. I thought the actor portrayed both really well. Um, Also, Clarice's actress, Levin Rambin, who I think was in the Hunger Games, I thought she was perfect for Clarice. She did an excellent job in the role. And Clarice was exactly as I thought she'd be from the books, very arrogant, thinking that she's above everyone else, like Percy and Annabeth. Um, so yeah, those were the actors and actresses I think that stood out most to me. There were a lot of them that did really well. Brandon T. Jack. Now on to recurring ones. Brandon T. Jackson as Grover, really good job. I mean, the wedding dress scene, it was hilarious. He really did that well. And honestly, I would have been a bit awkward to get into a dress like that. I mean, I think from reading his tweets, I think he actually enjoyed it, which I find a bit interesting. But it was definitely funny. Alexandra Daddario again as Annabeth was really good. A very interesting Annabeth portrayal as well, because it's a bit more of a grumpy Annabeth, which is perfectly understandable. I thought that was shown brilliantly in the movie because, of course, your friend who's in a tree is dying. Well, the tree itself is dying, of course. One of your oldest friends, Luke, has turned evil, and a lot of stuff like that really does show. Oh, and of course, the fact that Tyson is a Cyclops, Thalia was killed by Cyclopses, that of course would have more resentment. I mean, she had lots of good reasons to be angry. Um, I thought Logan Lerman as Percy was good again. I thought he was honestly, I thought he was better in the last one in the first movie. What a few who was actually better in the first movie, I thought. But yeah, I think honestly though there was a bit less of a Percy wasn't so much the main focus this time, and they seem to focus a lot on other characters and especially the new ones, which I was okay with. I mean, it was kind of interesting Percy taking a backseat. I mean, he did still do most of the important stuff, but for other times it wasn't, the main focus. Yeah, I definitely say 9 out of 10 for Sea of Monsters. I definitely recommend going to see it. If you're a Percy Jackson fanboy or fangirl, you might or might not, depends how much you love the books, enjoy the movie. I personally, with franchises like Percy Jackson or even others like the Harry Potter franchise, which is over, of course. With those, I just treat the books and movies as two separate things, and I felt that really increased my enjoyment of both. So, yeah, I think that's all I need to really say, Percy Jackson wise. So yeah, moving on, I'll talk briefly about some Walking Dead news. I know some of my fellow hosts will actually probably wish they were here to discuss this with me, and I'm probably going to sound like a complete noob with this. But just yesterday, I believe, there was a deleted scene from the season 3 DVD revealed. And it showed Laurie Grimes as a zombie. It was basically, I think, in the episode Home. I could be wrong. Rick had hallucinations of Laurie in a wedding type dress, or dress in general. And there was actually a longer deleted scene recorded, and they released the deleted scene online. It'll be on the DVD release as well, and it was very interesting, that's for sure. I thought when I read the title, I thought it'd be a bit more disturbing, but I'm happy it wasn't. Like, I was expecting Rick to be kissing Laurie really passionately, and then turn around one moment, you look around one moment, see Rick's face, and then big close up of Laurie. It was a kind of close up, it wasn't as big a close up I was expecting, which is kind of glad. I would have been even more sick otherwise, probably. Yeah, I thought the scene was interesting. Apparently, actually, from what I heard out of London Film and Comic Con, where it was revealed the other day that Sarah Wayne Kelly, who actually played Laurie, mentioned the scene at a Walking Dead panel at that convention and said it was really stupid and she was glad they cut it or something like that, which I thought was interesting. Yeah, basically that's what I heard she said about it anyway, but Zombie Laurie looked interesting. I thought, considering she was a main character, they try and zombify her a bit more, make her really disgusting, but, it was good enough for what it was. I'm glad they didn't make it too disgusting. I mean, I won't get too many nightmares anyway. Yeah, but Rick and the scene was very interesting as well. I thought one of the things that actually made the scene really good as well was the fact that there was absolutely no dialogue in it, as far as I remember. It was just all silent or based off movements and reactions, and you had to predict based off those what was happening. And so I thought they portrayed that really well. I'm guessing they probably cut it for time or something, because the scene that they did use was only a minute long. I think this was around 2 minutes. I think, I'm not sure. Yeah, that's the first Walking Dead topic, the zombie Laurie deleted scene that will be on the season 3 DVD. Moving on as well, Entertainment Earth, a well-known collecting website where you can buy a lot of stuff on, has put up their pre-orders for upcoming Walking Dead, what they call the Walking Dead Series 5 of figures, but of course they don't follow they don't, go by the series the same way as the TV show, of course. I mean, like, some of them Series 3 figures would be from Season 2, that sort of thing. Yeah, there are some very interesting figures coming in the wave, and I'm looking forward to Maggie Green. I think that it's the first figure of her, so I'm very excited for that. Maggie's actually one of my favorite characters in the show, so I'll definitely pick up that figure. There's also a Glenn figure coming up, and I believe it might also be the first figure of Glenn being released, so I'll definitely pick that up as well. Tyrese, another figure I definitely want. Zombie Mel Dixon. I find it very interesting they're bringing out Zombie Mel, and I'm happy about that. I thought they'd just bring out the regular one, but now they're bringing out the zombie one as well. So yeah, I'll get that too. The Child Walker, which is the last one, don't have a lot of interest in. I honestly don't remember them being that memorable, and I think they're from one of the last season 3 episodes, but I could be wrong. But yeah, I think I'll buy pretty much at some stage. I'll pretty much buy all of them except the Child Walker. But yeah, Maggie, Glenn, Tyrese, and Zombie Male definitely have a lot of interest for me. So yeah, I'm looking forward to those. Moving on, and of course continuing from last week with the new additions to the podcast, name that franchise and geekly trivia questions. So of course, we'll go with name that franchise again first. I'll just remind you it's a quote, and you have to name the franchise, or could be TV show, movie, or movie franchise, comic, or a video game, could be from any of those. So I'll read out the quote now, and if any of you think you know the answer, just leave it in the comments below. So this week's Name That Franchise quote is, "Scissors cuts paper, paper covers rock, Rush crosses lizard, lizard poisons Spock, Spock smashes scissors, scissors decapitate lizard, lizard eats paper, paper screws Spock, Spock vaporizes rock, and as it always has, rock crushes scissors." So there you go. If you think you know the answer to that one, be sure to leave in the comments or post on our Facebook page about it. And if you also name the character who said the quote, even better. So of course, moving on to the Geekly trivia question as well, which is pretty much never quote related, or for a while it won't be anyway, I hope. It'll just be random facts, could be major or minor stuff related to anything again. So yeah, this one is a TV show based question. So this week's Geek Live trivia question is, who was the officer turned walker who Rick Grimes shot in the first episode of the Walking Dead TV series?